Hello everyone and welcome to today's PUBG analysis video. It's I should maybe start keeping track of this because it's quite a few videos at this point. Let me also just take the webcam down. There you go. It's quite a few videos at this point. We gotta hit some sort of milestone at some point in terms of how many of these videos we've uploaded. But either way, we are at day 2 of week 3 of PGIs. It's been a fun ride so far, and by the end of this day, by the end of this video, we will have hit the halfway mark of the tournament. We do have that one fun tournament, TBP survival tournament in the middle of all of it. I'm not gonna do analysis on that since it's just a show match type thing. But we're 3 weeks in, halfway through. Of course, in terms of the prize money, we're not halfway through, but that's just the way the tournament is done. And yeah, we'll see coming into the next games how everything panned out on the last day of week 3. Now, again, as I said for the first video of the week, I haven't had a chance to watch the games back yet. Analyze TBP, yeah, no, it's not gonna happen. I haven't had a chance to watch the games back yet. I'm planning on doing that this week. So similar to week 1, if you watched the week 1 video by the time you watch this, or if you were here for the week 1 stream, or sorry, not week 1, day 1 of week 3 stream. It's a little different how we analyze it because I don't know what's about to happen. So I'm just catching what I'm catching, and we'll see how things go down. Either way, let's get started. Game number 6, day number 2. I'm just gonna blink the plane path for you a few times so you can see what's going on, and let's take a look at exactly where teams are landing. If anything's changed from how things were on day 1 to how things start off on day 2. Virtus Pro, they're doing their wide split again. Nothing new there. FaZe Clan doing their splits. Nothing new there. Zenith has Shinboy alongside with Multi-Circle Gaming for some reason. They're contesting each other here. I believe it's actually Multi-Circle Gaming that are splitting further north because normally they'd be looting this as well. Zenith, they're doing their 4-way split here. Sometimes they go a little further north, but this is how far they wanted to go. Frigga Freaks doing their Mina split. Divine doing their Hacienda splits. Nothing's really out of the ordinary here. We don't have infantry in, so Gen G has opted to go out towards the east coast. Ends are around here as well. So a little bit of traffic towards the east. We have Oath and T1 out here as well. T1 usually loots the west side, and then Oath sometimes goes down to the south, but this time around they've just kind of cut Los Leones in half. They'll be fine with that. And yeah, overall things are pretty much as they usually are. El Pozo, that's where Navi are now. And yeah, overall it's pretty straightforward. The only difference is with the East Circle, usually we don't see 2 teams down here. This would just be infantry, right? Like all of this would be infantry looting. So I guess you have to go earlier if you want to get yourself some compounds. We'll see. We'll see how things they pan on out. Zenith, they realize that Roth needs some help, and here they come. Cavalry arrives, and down goes the 2 Multi-Circle Gaming players. They could have, I think, had a chance to go up and help out, but they opt not to, and they end up losing 2 players because of it. In the meantime, ENS setting up a split. We had ENS players in here alongside with some of the Sonics players last time when we saw ENS rotate down south, and we talked about why they didn't take the ENS compound when they were scouting out from Impala. They opted to go south instead, and as we talked about too, it's incredibly difficult to scout uphill to this compound. That's much easier to do from the other side. So maybe this time around they'll go, but it seems to me like they're opting to go south instead, which makes good sense. Frigga Freaks coming over the top side. They'll be fine doing just that. Liquid, as they've done many times before, are gonna try and set up shop down by the gas station. Frigga Freaks over the top. They'll go play the top side behind. Makes good sense. Give yourself a free rotation point. Again, they know that many teams are down here and around here now, so just wrap around, get yourself a clear path down towards the south, and you should be all good. Let's see, how do we continue this one through? In from the south comes TSG. FaZe come down here as well. They've done that many times before. Curious to see where Navi are planning on going, because usually they come in from the south, but we'll see now with the circle being a little further north, they're probably going to come in something like this, or maybe over by La Bendita. They have played around this compound many times before as well. Let's see. Where does the next circle go? Is it gonna be an island circle? No, it's not. No island circles. Everyone else are in or around the circle at this point. Zenith still making their rotation from the north, but they should be just fine to get down here. And down on the south side, Tianba have set up a pretty good camp around the road. They cross back over. Here comes TSG, and that's just, I mean, I don't want to say a freebie, especially not now with the way that the drive-by meta is, but they're setting up on the south side, anticipating teams to come in from there. Now day trade comes in as well. Go, well, I guess this is not something we want to take part in, or is it? This escalates, it takes too long, it develops, the fight widens out, and all of a sudden day trade find themselves in a situation where they now have a pretty good opportunity of third partying in. Na'Vi, in the meantime, they hear all the commotion on the south side and they go, nah, let's not be part of that, and they wrap over towards the north. Smart rotation on them. You see this, Senya sits down here, scouts forward, Bestadok scouts forward, Tap picks up a vehicle, comes back down, Kemba rotates around. Bestadok comes over, tries to make sure that once Kemba drives on through, is there anyone peeking in any of the compounds? Nope, no one's peeking. Let's go. Kemba still wide circles around, trying to make sure there's no one there. Once he realizes there isn't, all of Na'Vi can then go over and claim themselves a compound. In the meantime, Tap, just because, I mean, if you don't have to sit 4 in a compound, you don't need to. So Tap will take the outskirts compound. Maybe you can get off angle should someone pull up, or maybe you can get some info on teams coming from down here. Circle goes towards the north. And this is where things get a little terrifying, because this is phase 3. And we know the next circle now is going to shift away from water and unplayable terrain. And if we do this and we add a phase 4, the funny thing is, watch this. This here is considered unplayable terrain. This here is considered unplayable terrain. This here is considered unplayable terrain. So if we look at those 3 and we have this phase 4, where can we put it in here that doesn't include any of those 3? That's just not possible. It's simply impossible. You cannot put this red circle anywhere within this white circle where none of these orange areas are in. Which means that as much as we normally go, okay, so it should keep at least in and stuff like that, it's not possible. This circle now, because of these 3 hills being where they are, this circle now can go exactly where it wants. It could even include water. It probably won't, but it could even technically go out and include water again. Just because there's no way, just like we talked about in the last video, there's no way for the circle to live up to the settings expectations. So therefore, it's just going to pick a joker circle. Liquid, they go full speed forward. They try to push up towards Na'Vi. Maybe they see they're in a split. Now they don't see anything. They just drive from down here. Full speed forward, no scouting. Just go up towards the north. Hoping that the circles will go inland to some extent. Face expecting the same thing. They say we want to get clear. Or we want to be clear of Impala. We want to make our way up towards the north. And we want to try and see if we can find somewhere to sit tight up there. Over the top they go. Face try and wrap even further north around. And they get themselves a spot on the top of the circle. Inside the city, you have Gen G. They have a perfect overview. Great way, a great opportunity to look out and essentially all of this. They can see so much from the brick buildings there on the west side of the city. Day trade, doing a similar rotation to what Face did before, but they're a little late to it, so they don't have that much space to wrap, which means they're going to be in line of sights of Virtus Pro. They lose 1, they lose 2. Banotika is on the edge of the circle, and now the circle comes west. Okay, so we do go away from the water. We do exclude 2 of these thingies. Third one's still in. But we head straight into the open now. We exclude quite a big portion of the city. And now let's see where teams are forced to go. There are a few dips you can play around here. You can play the bottom side down here. You can play something here. But as long as this is in, as long as Gen G's position is in, it's just incredibly difficult. It's really, really hard to utilize some of these areas when a high ground position team has eyes on you, because all you can do then is prone behind your vehicle, and even that can be hard if the team can see you from above. There are some spots you can play up on the mountain here. But again, with teams on the north side still, with teams around, you're really exposed up there. So even though you might be able to see a lot, they will also get some pretty clear shots or pretty free shots on you. So the center here is going to be incredibly hard to play. And you'd have to assume with 1, 2, 3 teams still on the south, a Freak of Freaks would probably opt to wrap around the north somehow. Oath, they can still chill here for now, hold out GSG and then push further in. They should be able to play around the shacks down here on the bottom side. TSG, maybe just crash the city, try and wrap back out east. We'll see what happens. They're completely cornered on the other side right now. A Freak of Freaks, you can see they're opting to wrap over the top. Oath, sending players forward. TSG, they do go towards the city. They go even further. They go to the shack on the other side. So they allow them through. Oath allows TSG through and now sit tight on the south side. In the meantime, T1, they've been kind of turtled in the compound for a while. They need to find a way out of there. Virtus Pro needs to find a way or a place to go. But essentially, everyone's waiting for the next circle to pop. Sometimes they do, and sometimes they don't. When no circle can be free of all of it, it can go anywhere. Like we saw there. It's pretty weird how it works, Lava. At least that's how I've understood it. And how I've experienced it. I've seen circles where it could easily have gone to places with less unplayable terrain in, but it didn't. And then you go, well, then that's not true if it tries to take the least amount. So, because there were other areas it could have gone that would have been better. So it's pretty weird like that. Let's see now. So we forced the circle down towards the south. We're going to go below this hillside now, which means Freak of Freaks on the north, they're going to be regretting how they gone up there. Navi is still here. Liquid are here. But the issue for Navi is that Liquid are playing on the inside of them, right? They're playing down here while Navi are playing up here. So Navi either has to fight their way through Liquid, try and wrap around Liquid, which would be them running straight into Virtus Pro, or try to wrap the other way, which would either be them running into a Freak of Freaks or maybe down and into Zenith and an STK. Because we're really, really, really limited on where you can play from now. There's a dip here. There's a little bit of a dip up here. Other than that, because the city is still in, because Gen G are still in, you can play below down here, but Virtus Pro and T1 are already doing that. Because of where Gen G are positioned, you just cannot play safe anywhere. Let's see. Freak of Freaks, they go forward. They take one of the dips. There's still one dip up here. Vanotiga tries to wrap around Navi. They start the fight with Liquid. Then they realize they don't want to do that. And then they run the other way instead. Okay. So they go out there. Now finally the circle shifts out of the city. But still, Gen G can stay inside. They can stay and do whatever the hell they want. Ends down to 3 players trying to hold off on their side. Up towards the north, we have this massive skirmish between STK and Zenith around the big warehouse. That comes to an end pretty abruptly, I believe. Tank comes over the top, tries to do some damage. Does manage to get down 1, but falls in return. And then Purdy, solid hold there. Takes down 2, gets the rest onto Uncivil. Does it get the rest? I don't actually remember. I think he might run out of the circle and try to find his way in. Doesn't end up happening, and he goes down to the blue. Now, I was a little surprised to see Ens not taking the fight to Gen G earlier. There was a player knocked. Inonix, I believe. Yep, Inonix gets knocked. And I would have thought that Ens would have wanted to take the fight to Gen G earlier. Because I can't really figure out how Ens could get out of the city. Or maybe play below Gen G on the road here. Without them having the better position still. Sorry for yawning. Oh, it's still morning at 1:40. So I was a little surprised to see Ens not maybe forced the fight to Gen G earlier, especially when they knew it was them in the city, and also they saw they had knocks already. They played slow with blue on their back. Now they take the fight to them after they all got back up alive. They get the knock on 1, they try to go for the rest, and they end up getting killed because of it. Not because of it, but they end up getting killed as a result of trying to stay put. And then, just as you thought, with this much being in, When you have this much of a house inside the circle, and you go, okay, great. I guess we have to move next circle, right? Nope. This much of the house is still inside the circle. Then you're clapping your hands if you're Genji. Everyone out here go, great. We could be using this entire area of the circle if this freaking compound was out and the circle had shifts back to it. Sometimes you get lucky. And sometimes you get a circle going your way, and Genji sure as hell got lucky with that shift right there. Now, as everyone else leave, they still have Loki in the building, and Genji start playing the road instead. They have a plateau up here from where they can peek out. It's a pretty good position to be on. The road, it's up high enough that they can always prone down and heal. And it's far enough back that even if the opponent gets a knock on you, they shouldn't be able to get a flush. And everyone else are playing low ground, so the road is elevated above everyone else. So just a really, really good position for Genji to be in. I was surprised that Oath didn't do anything to maybe try and push up and take control, but maybe Loki has been the one taking control. There's many chances here where Oath can try and make the run over the top, but they opt to stay down below. Even earlier when they were fighting ends, like here, when the whole skirmish is going on. The only issue is, at the same time, Pat Caps is knocked, and also, if they start crossing now, having not dealt with TSG or with Virtus Pro yet, this crossing could be them dying. So I guess it makes sense that they opt to stay the way that they do. They stay below, try and take control. Liquid pushes over, tries to deal with the Freak of Freaks. They manage to do that. Spiro and Virtus Pro try to push in and get somewhere to play from. There's like a little broken vehicle up here that Spiro can hide behind. Or is that a tractor? I don't remember. And then, again, similar situation. Oath has a chance to take the fight. Because now they know. Now they know. We dealt with TSG. We forced Virtus Pro's last player down behind this thingy. And we have Liquid on the other side. Again, a situation where Oath can put up 2 maybe on the edge of the road to try and make sure they can hold. But again, Loki is doing a good job holding off. Now he runs up to the north. They get a third-party opportunity, Oath, but they're not fast enough at capitalizing. Also, these knocks come in incredibly quickly. One with the nade, Pio gets the second, Anonix gets 1, they get 2, they go down pretty much instantly. And now, Oath, they have the circle. Genji are all out. Didn't the Ends have any more games trying to cross the street in previous? Didn't Ends have any more games trying to cross the street in the previous save? The thing is, they couldn't really cross the street. There wouldn't be a place for them to go if you go back and look at Ends. There wasn't a place for them to go. They could leave the city and go down and play a shack, but that wouldn't grant them anything. They'd just be in a worse position. There isn't really anything, if you're in the city, anywhere you can go other than trying to play the road. But while, like, as long as Genji still has this position, they just cannot sit on the road really. So this comes to an end. Loki ends up going down. Now Oath has a 4v3. They've pushed Bale and Pat Caps up over the hilltop or towards the road to get that high ground angle we talked about before. They force them into the open. Esther comes up close. Anonix pushes out, wins a straight on 1v1 with Rello. Balefrost instantly trades PO in return, so 1 for 1. Now it's a 2v2. And then Anonix comes running up, and I believe, I remember watching this end game, and I believe Anonix threw like 6 or 7 flashbangs as he came running up this direction. You can't see it off the map stream, obviously. But I think he throws like 6 or 7 flashbangs as he comes sprinting up towards Balefrost. So while it's Esther who gets the double kill, I think, Anonix made sure they couldn't see anything at all. So pretty interesting game, really good win for Genji, and yeah, overall just impressive performance from Genji in that game. They did get incredibly lucky with the triple shift towards the southeast after we thought it was going to shift away from the house, because had this circle, like had any of these to be honest, had this circle shifted just here instead of there, had phase, I guess this is phase 5. Or is it phase 6? It's phase 6. Had this circle, instead of sitting where the actual circle is, had it gone like this? Just like this maybe. had it gone just a little further out, like this, Gen G would have never won that game, I think. So fortunate for them that they get the double shifts back towards the compound. This one followed by this one. That is also an absurdly lucky shift for them. But they're still, I mean, we've seen it again. We saw it, yeah. We saw it in the day 1 of week 3 analysis where Freak of Freaks were in a perfect position to win a game and they ended up losing it. So again, we've said it many times. Just because you get circles going your way doesn't mean you win it. But Gen G did manage to capitalize on that one. So good job by Gen G. And now we'll head on over to match number 7. Let's see here. We're going to update the number. There we go. Day 2, game number 7. I think the game results X number of circles random and chooses the one with the least unplayable errors and optional. It creates 30 circles. And as far as I know, and as far as my experience have told me, it takes a circle that fits the setting. So if there's a circle without any water or any unplayable terrain, it will obviously select that. If there are multiple that fit the setting, it will pick a random one between them. But if there are none that fit the setting, which we saw over here, no circle can have no land or no unplayable, it will pick a random one. The fact that it's then towards the west with 1 instead of 3 of those areas could make it look like it took the least one, but in my opinion, in my experience, it's just been a little random when it came to that. Let me just real quickly go ahead. Great. Let's continue to game number 2. Anything out of the ordinary here? I could also be wrong, Lava. I mean, it's all speculation, right? We've never had it confirmed by the PUBG people. Gandalf, I know. I do know the placements. I know who won. Don't worry. We can talk about it. It's all in the past. Let's see. New game. Anything out of the ordinary early on. Tianba down towards Porto. Gen G over towards the east. Enza here as well. Divine during their split. Again, now we got multi-circle gaming back. Shinboy claimed his shack. And as a matter of fact, Kickstart got down here as well. Base during their splits early on. Navi splitting with Senya going up towards the north. Yeah, everything is pretty ordinary from last game to this game as well. Base gonna rotate out early, try and see if they can claim themselves a better spot for the circles to come. Day Trade are gonna wrap out from this direction. TSG planning on doing the same exact thing, I would assume. Tiamba also up there with them. Virtus Pro wrapping in behind. How many teams are gonna go north around on this? 1, 2, 3. I mean, oh yeah, I remember this. That was weird. When these games happened on day 2, I didn't catch all the games, but I was doing a lot of other stuff, and I kind of hopped back and forth between them. So sometimes I saw some small parts of the games. So saying I didn't watch the games at all is actually not completely true. There were just portions of it, big portions of it, that I didn't see. I guess I could say the other way. There were only small portions of it that I did see. A lot of teams are wrapping north around. That's pretty interesting in this circle, because we've seen, first of all, a lot of teams, like a lot of circles go back down towards the south, but also, as we watch this, it's up towards the north. You're just very limited in what you can really utilize. Once we're west of the craters, whoops, no. Go away. There we go. Once we're west of the craters, you have these small compounds, but it's extremely difficult to get a good position out of them. These ones down here you can't really utilize at all, other than of course hiding inside the building. You need to get up on the hillside to get control, but these hills are extremely open, so it's incredibly difficult to take advantage of them, because you'll be, most likely anyway, be shot at by everyone. We'll see. We'll see where this one goes. Gen G rotating in super late. Navi looks lost. This is a pretty good split from Navi. I don't think they look lost here. Maybe you're talking overall. Circle goes towards the north, and this is absolutely garbage, especially for all the teams down here. And why is it garbage? Because look at what they're rotating into. Rule number 1 in PUBG is not, I guess it's not rule number 1, but it's one of many rules, is that you would normally say let's not use roads. Big roads, because odds are, especially if there are compounds next to the roads, they will be in trouble. So teams will, for the most part, probably not want to go up this way. Then we have what else? We can go through a city. Not exactly on the wish list either. And then if you want to go into the city, because this massive fucking mountain is here, you can just kind of draw this down. Because this big mountain is here, that just blocks off this this entire rotation path. You can't scout anything. You can't get any vision or info on anything until you get all the way up towards these hills, like these peaks, to watch over on the other side. So in order to get a quote-unquote safe rotation in, you'd have to go all the way back like this, which is going to take you forever. And in phase 3, we know it doesn't close in all that slow. So, I mean, and we just talked about roads and compounds, right? So if you want to rotate in like this, it's going to be incredibly dangerous. The only thing is, if we look at it, look at how many people right now after this shift, if we split it in half, are playing on the east, and how many are playing on the west side of this circle, right? Right now, we have just 3 teams over here. Maybe with Oath if you count them in. 3 or 4 teams. We'll say 3.5 teams on this side. And you got 12.5 teams. Quick math? Yes, that's correct. You got 12.5 teams on this side. So you can tell that when we talk about heated sides of the circle, this left side is pretty damn heated, and it's only going to get worse because there's only so many places you can play from, as we just talked about, inside this circle. So if you're smart, if you're on the south side already, you can try and make that south rotation out towards the east. We'll see if anyone opts to go in that direction. As you can see, people don't. Everyone now, as we kind of look at the ant farm here, everyone are trying to wrap in from the west. Other than Genji, of course. They get themselves another good shift. Everybody else are wrapping in from the east. Or from the west, I mean, sorry. So, while teams do manage to make their way through, Divine gets all the way over towards the right side. FaZe find themselves a little dip, or a big dip, on the south side of the Copraria as well. It's still a tricky circle to have to play. And now, everyone is in, except for TSG. There they come. And the circle hard shifts down towards the south. Random shift that goes in a random direction. One hard shift followed by another. And if you were a team that wrapped all the way around, you'd be happy now because the circle just went in your direction. But we're shifting away from this. AKA, we're headed back up towards the north. That's where the majority of teams are. And this as well, I guess. And that's where you would have to assume everyone would be going at this point. Ends trying to sit tight in the middle. They know there's going to be a lot of teams coming in this way. Because if we look at the counter, we have 1, 2, 3, 4. We have 5 teams out here. Navi are currently sitting on the south side, and TSG is still wrapping their way into the circle. Ends, they know. Hell is going to break loose. Hell is going to break loose on the west side of La Copraria. And hello, Centix. Easy for Ends. They know they're on the edge, which is not necessarily a bad place for Ends to play. They do sit on the edge pretty often. But they're now going to be on the very heated edge. And that's maybe not exactly where you usually like to see Ends play from. They're more of a... They at least early on in the game, I mean, this is only phase 3, right? At least early on in the game, they like to play the quiet sides of the circle. So friends, there's nothing wrong. Yeah, you have. I mean, that is true, Sensix. There are freaking freaks on the other side. They can maybe take some of the heat. We'll see. We'll see how things pan on out. But one thing is for sure, a lot of teams are going to be plummeting into the city. They do wrap around, though. Freaks are there to help force teams to go in the other direction. They try and wrap further north around. Still trying to find their entry point to the circle. I'm not quite sure. We're in phase 4 now. What the fuck are you doing up there? Drive, heal. Drive, heal. Drive, heal. And get in. That's funny. Circle shifts up north as expected. As I said before, we're shifting away from all of this stuff. So we're going back up towards the north. And as most people assumed this, they've also played accordingly. And as I say that, I'm actually a little surprised. For example, We get this shift. We know we're going north. Multi-Circle Gaming, they go into the city. Liquid go into the city. Tianba goes underneath and plays the road. Navi comes in late. I mean, they got shifted away from. They have to fight STK. And Genji are maintaining a 2-1-1 split in the city. That's ballsy. This 2-1-1 split from Genji is pretty ballsy, not gonna lie. I would assume to see Esther and Anonix. Yep, they instantly go back. In the meantime, everyone on the south side are trying to find their way. I mean, right now, it's kind of half-half, right? It's somewhat half-half with how much of the city is in and how much of the hill on the other side. And for those of you guys who, for whatever reason, shouldn't know the terrain around here, it's all just hill up this direction. It's just massive uphill. There's a little bit of a bowl that FaZe Clan are sitting in. But other than that, it's a pretty big uphill. So everyone right now wanna make space for themselves. So for example, if you're Tianba, you don't want to have a team sitting right down here or right over here. You want to make some space. If you're Virtus Pro, you want to deal with Purdy Curdy and maybe try and hold out Navi. Best situation for you, of course, would be that they die. An alternative is that you force them to crash into a Freak of Freaks, force them to try and go the other way, force them to leave your side of the circle so you get some space. Because should the next circle go away from you, let's say the next circle goes into the city, and you're sitting up here as Tianba with a team right over here, you can't really, like, once you start running into the circle, the people that got the circle, let's say T1 in this situation, they're going to be shooting at you. They're going to go pew, 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 pew in your direction. And you want to shoot back at them, obviously, but you can't really do that because right next to you, there's another team who are also going pew, 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 pew. And that's actually how guns sound. I know it's crazy, but that's how it is. And then you have to focus the team that's next to you. You cannot focus on the guys that are far away if there's a team right next to you. So right now, teams are doing what they can to try and make space for themselves and wait for that next circle. The guys in the hill hope for this shift. The guys in the city hope for this shift. Jump up, drive down and say, you know what? What's best? I guess if we just play in the middle of everything. That way we will have a move we can make on both the south shift and the north shift. Also, they know there's going to be more people coming over the top, so they make space for that. The fact that there's still 43 alive at this point is actually kind of impressive. But of course, there is room for some people, or quite a few people inside the city. Circle. Just when you thought it was going to go guaranteed to one side, it's in between everything. The circle does not guarantee a side here. It still maintains not a half-half any longer. It's more of like a, maybe it is kind of half-half. 60-40 split between what's city and what's not. And the thing about this city is that you guys can see here, in case you didn't know already, from here to here, all the way over, and from here to here, all the way over, are big walls. All right. So if you're inside the city, you can't see over. Like you can see up the hill, obviously, because you can look above the wall, but you can't see over on the other side. Only on some few areas where they're broken. So what Tianba is doing is playing all the way down to the wall, trying to make sure that as long as we know the teams on the hill are still fighting each other, and these guys inside the city can't see us, we can sit tight down here. That's what they're trying to utilize right now. And in the same time, the guys inside the city go, as long as the people don't actually come in either way, like we only have, instead of having to look at an entire road and go, oh my god, they could be crashing from everywhere, they can only really come through here, around here, and around here. So inside the city, you're actually also kind of safe. The only threat, the threat really only happens or becomes relevant when this circle shifts away from this wall, either towards the north, so that these guys have to wrap around and go in, or towards the south, where now the Gen G and T1 and everyone else up here would have to leave out this way. Because that's when you go from uphill, if you're TSG, for example. Oh no, we have to look at this entire area that people can come running from. Oh wait, no we don't. We just have one guy looking there, one or two looking in the middle, and one looking to the left, and we will know exactly where they're leaving from. So for right now, you can utilize this wall pretty well, but once the circle shifts to either one side of it, that's when chaos tends to break loose, or whatever you call it. Chaos tends to unfold, I should say. A pretty decent split between teams right now. Well, let's count it up actually. Let's consider them here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 teams on the hills. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, almost a 50-50 split between teams in the city and teams on the hills right now. Everyone's just waiting for that next shift, and these guys down here are saying, please, 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 we don't want to go into the city. And these guys up here are saying, please, 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 we don't want to leave the city. And who gets the circle? For the most part, the hill does. Only issue is there's really no cover here. And the little cover there is very limited. So there's no way you have 6 teams survive within this area. Contrary to that, there is still quite a bit of cover left in the city up here that is inside the circle. And while it's on the edge, it's at least hard cover that you can play around. And also, remember, you still have this wall available that you can hide behind. So there's space for a few more teams inside here, even though in terms of terrain inside the circle, it's much less than what we have towards the south. There's actually space for more teams because of the hard cover. We'll see how teams try and utilize that. Ends trying to take control of what I like to call the school or the kindergarten or whatever you guys like calling it. In the meantime, the city fights unfold. Ends finally having to fight, Gen G finally having to fight some teams. First team's Liquid trying to push their way on through. They hold them off pretty well. Circle now back towards the north. We go and Ends, and I mean Tiamba before, but they would just get killed by a card. Ends are happy, very happy with this shift, because again, if a team has to leave the city, if the circles go uphill, odds of the city team winning that game all of a sudden is, I don't want to say none, but very, very small. We know in the end of it, there's only going to be one team coming out of this city alive. So it's all about who positions themselves the best to try and make sure they get that. Rustenma is set up in a smart position. He can hold off here. So in case any team comes running up in this direction, try and wrap behind and get over to where Ends are playing from. Rustenma can kind of be the alarm bell on that. He can hold these 2 back exits, and he can hold anyone trying to come here. He doesn't necessarily have to try and stay there and kill them, but he can give the info across to his teammates. Hey guys, we got people coming from here. Maybe Tixu or Diggory or Squeaky, someone can come over and help me and make sure that doesn't happen. In the meantime, Squeaky's in a position where if teams up to, for some reason, plummet down the hill and go towards the left side, he'll be able to deal with them as well. So they're kind of holding each their flank, while Tixu also has a pretty good overview of the entire hill. Oh, Tixu, Squeaky, sorry. My brain is just not functioning today. In the meantime, while all the chaos unfolds on the east side of the city, you can kind of cut it in half. While all the chaos unfolds on the east, Ends, they just sit back and play contain. They don't chase down kills. They don't go stupidly aggressive. They just sit back and they hold out. And with every single second the circle gets smaller, they have less they need to worry about. In the meantime, Virtus Pro, they do all the work for them in the hill. They run around, they kill everyone. And now, fortunately, for Ends, they get the wipe on Gen G fast. Because had this taken any longer, Virtus Pro would have made it much harder. They've already set them up in a pretty good position. They're sitting 2 close to the road, 2 further behind. And now they're just playing contain. And this is where the road, this is where this, we talked about it just before, right? This wall here, this is where it becomes dangerous. Because as much as you want to peek everything and everyone, because of this wall, you really can't. So Virtus Pro knows they can only come there or there. They can't run through the wall. Unless if something's changed on the map. My memory is completely off. So we really only have to worry about the edges right now. If they end up sitting down here by the time this circle is closed in, it's pretty much GG easy. So for Ends, what they need to do right now is they need to do as much damage to Virtus Pro as possible before the circle's closed in. Because if they all four get caught behind the wall, there should not be any way for them to win the game. And you can see now, they go, okay, we need to get the fuck off of this wall. We cannot stay here. Rustenmark goes full speed off, tries to find an off angle in the open. They get the kill on one. Diggory hits a great shot onto Hiruzen. He falls down, and now they can hold them 4v2. So really smart, kind of. I like to use the term sheep herding. You know how, not herding as in damaging or punishing, but herding as in, you know how you have those shepherds, or like the dogs that run around in the field. You always see those weird videos of like the dogs running around in the field saying, nope, you go this direction, all the sheep. That's kind of what Ents is doing now with Virtus Pro. Virtus Pro had the opportunity to do the same thing to Ents, but weren't in a position fast enough. Had they had all four down here, with 2 over here and 2 over here on the road, and kept 2 guys in control there, 2 guys in control there, they could have done it. But because Ents were fast enough to deal with Gen G and be able to reset immediately after, they just couldn't do it. So the sheep herd them down into the open. Jesus Christ. Squeaky is up close to the wall. They keep Rustin up behind for extra info or extra vision, and they get the kill on him. So good game, friends. Good game, friends. They were up here in the area of the map that we knew was going to be contested. And fortunately for them, they were never forced to push east in the city. On the contrary, all the east teams were forced to push west. So by the time they got to Ents, they were pretty battered and wounded, and Ents could pretty easily, not easily, but without taking any casualties anyway, deal with them. While on the south side, in the meantime, all these teams that try to run down the hill, it was just a cluster. The big old bloodbath of teams trying to make their way down the hill, and it's just not possible. Especially not when you have the likes of Oath and Virtus Pro playing the hills. It just doesn't really happen. Very difficult to try and take full control of. Either way, that was game number 7. Let's hop over to game number 8. And again, there are many things in terms of the city fighting, in particular, and also some of the hill peeking and stuff. That's easier to go into depths with when we have the in-game POVs. But it's a little difficult to analyze off of a map stream. Which is why maybe if you felt that I went over some of the things a little quick, that's really why. Random fact, Xerox. I have received one of these from PUBG Corp. One of these like mask thingies, but it's just not big enough for my head. It can just barely go over my ear. But then you can see my chin. My chin is out on the bottom of it. So I don't know if it's made in Korea for people with smaller heads than me, but it's not big enough for my head, unfortunately. That was the random fact for you. That looks painful. Not painful, because it is pretty soft. Just not very comfortable. Either way, let's get game number 8 going. Here's your playing path. As simple as can be, as straightforward as can be. And let's see once again, Gen G claiming control down here. Infantry ain't around, so Gen G said, you know what, mine now. They go down and they take it. This one is, well, not guaranteed to be a military game, but there's a pretty good chance it's going to go down there. Up towards the north, Navi looting up North George. We have Divine up in Sarki. Oh yeah, I was going to say, where's Virtus Pro? But they have opted to go Rossack and all this because TSM ain't around. STK gets school and apps because 4AM ain't around. And yeah, everything is pretty much like day 1 in terms of where people are landing and looting. And Freaks will go out and get to loot themselves up over Mills of Power. And Zenith have opted to go down towards Nobo. Big Viking hit, exactly. That's just it. Now, let's see. TSG and FaZe, they haven't really been fighting too much around this area before. It's usually been TSG and the Freak of Freaks who's been confronting each other in this area. This time around, it's FaZe trying to hold off against TSG. They end up sitting here for a little while longer. Now more teams are coming in. They go, you know what? Nah, let's not try and bridge camp this. Let's just get the hell away from here. They cross over. They go up the hill. Usually we see FaZe try and take, not necessarily observatory, but try and get some high ground. Here it doesn't really work for them. On the west side, in the meantime, T1 are being held out by Liquid. But they leave, they cross, and T1 are allowed to do the same thing. Poochus comes across with a boat. They trade, come in, they do the same thing with the teammate. Virtus Pro are swimming? Okay. Virtus Pro is swimming across. They see all of Afrika Freaks crossing, but Tulins is staying behind to kind of cover his small swimming teammates that can't do anything at all. They swim across. Circle goes back. Lou now down here as well. Hiruzen goes over, takes one of the Afrika Freaks boats back. They must have heard this, right? Okay, so they both, Hiruzen and Spiro, swim across. Hiruzen then takes one of Afrika Freak's boats back to pick up their teammates, and they go together across. That's a pretty smart play. Pretty smart play. Navi were out on the west side. They came down late. Tiamba did the same thing. Ens, who are usually one of the last teams to cross, are now crossing before these three teams. Jun runs himself over. That's inconvenient, of course. We'll get back on his feet. Tiamba won across as well. They're miles out in the open. Shots are fired. Navi hears that, and they say, you know what? Let's just go over here instead of trying to cross down here when there's more people there. They trade, try and wrap underneath. Makes pretty good sense. You have a lot of area up here you can utilize, and I don't think they know that FaZe are only two, but if they figure out that it is FaZe players here, since we've only lost a couple of players so far, you can see 55 still alive, then you should be alright. Navi, in the meantime, they go down, they say, wah, wah. They take the ferry, woo! You can kind of see it on the pathing of the boat. They take the ferry across. Does Divine spot them? I'm not sure, but here comes Navi on the ferry. Do they jump in the water? Do they jump off? Yes, they do. They head on off. They get across. They get to the beach on the other side. And they avoid all of this. This is a terrible, by the way, phase 3 shift. Very terrible. It centers up around here somewhere. And look at the amount of teams that now have to make their way in from the south. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, depending on how. I mean, we just saw they go over the top. But 6 teams. 7 with Oath that have to make their way in south around. And the thing is, Ends, yes, they can go up this way. But where do you go then? You can't play up here. SDK will see you. You can't play on the roadside. Oath will see you. You can't cross over. Divine will see you. Ends will have to take a fight. T1 has Starlord up here, but you can't just crash straight into it. You need to wrap around. You have to come in from this side. But then you go, okay, great, let's just wrap down towards the south. Where do you go from there? We all know this big hill is, while there are trees there for cover, because it's not more, what's the word for that? Varied in its terrain. It's just a big, like, slant, just a big roll of a hill. When you have the hills that go a little more wavy with cover, you can kind of go in between there and hide your vehicles and all that stuff. Because this is just one big roll down towards, like one big knuckle down towards Novo, you're very limited in where you can position yourself, especially when there's this many teams around here. If you find a tree, if there's a tree there and you sit here, you're going to be seen by that guy or by this guy. Then you go, okay, great, then I'll just go over here. You get seen by a guy from here. Then you go here. You get the drill, right? It's very limited where you can really grant yourself some good cover. And there's for sure not space for everyone to play up here. So the only thing is really crash into Novo or try and play above. Liquid, go up. They try and play above. They want to contain Oath. They trade and FaZe are down here. Tianba coming in late. Uba tries to cross over. Liquid has a beast on the other side, but he realizes there are people coming, so he's going to back off immediately. Tianba want to go play the hills as well. Circle shifts south. We know it's going to try and shift away from the water, and thus it does. Uba gets 2 on the edge, goes down himself, FaZe out in 15th place. And ends somehow. That's a rotation. Huh. I have seen Ends play around here before. So it's not surprising to me that they want to go for that, but the fact that they just full on YOLO into it, That's pretty impressive. But you can also see, I mean, you have Kickstart over here, you have Shinboy here. There's a reason they crashed this, right? Because this is one of the areas that are probably the least, like for the team that is sitting here, they will have priority on certain things. They will go, okay, this building here, like if we split it into 4, right? If we split this into 4, they will say, great, this is priority 1. This is where all the good shit is. Let's take another color. This is priority 1. That's with the good open roof compound and all that stuff. Oh, Paper, thank you so much for the raid, man. Much appreciated. Much appreciated. I hope you had a good scrimcasting stream. I believe that's what happened, right? Hope you had a good time. But either way, they will know. This is prior 1. This is the most important. If you're going to play just one of these 4 areas, you're going to be playing this one. Then you can have an argument of whether this one is 2, this one is 2. But for the most part, you would have to think that this one is 3, because the other ones are pretty well connected. You can get in between them much easier. This one allows for you to get out this way. This one you can get up this way. And this one you can go out and play over here if you have to as well. This over here is kind of isolated. So this might be the lowest on the priority list, which means that for Ents, when they come full speed forward, they know, they don't know for a fact, but they anticipate that if there's a team splitting this, which in this case is Zenith, they will not prioritize this. Because if this was their priority, there would have been 2 players over here already, which there's not. So a smart guess, good call on a bluff, and they get themselves a compound. I'm not sure. Nope. Okay, so Rustenma does die. But a good call on a bluff, and most importantly, for Ents who were sitting miles behind everyone else, we talked about them as one of the teams out here who didn't really have a lot of options. Most importantly, they get inside the circle, and they get north around Everest, or not Everest, sorry, the observatory, to avoid the whole cluster that we know is going to happen down here with all of these teams trying to make their way into the circle from the south side. They avoid all of that by wrapping north around. Just overall, very heads-up rotation. Very smart play on their part, and they get themselves in because of it. In the meantime, Navi takes the ferry. Doot, doot. They get across, they get to the other side. They get to play it up slow. Now they're running straight down towards Virtus Pro, and that should ensue or cause a fight at some point soon. Ends, they know the circle is going to shift away from water. They know they're going to get it back, and now they can sit and say, we're so comfortable in this house while everyone else is running around fighting in the open. It's so much information. In the meanwhile, let's just get into the circle. Guys. We'll get to the circle, and then we'll take it from there. That is true. That's also a strat. Just get to the circle. That's a strat that certain teams also struggle with sometimes. And it seems to me like in this game, Liquid struggled to find a place to go. So they sit on the south side. They could have stayed. Not sure why they didn't. They lose 1. There's still 3 alive. Maybe they feel pressured by Oath on the top side as well. They go, nah, let's not sit up here. We'll go further down the hill. They try to play in the open, but then they realize there's 2 full CIS teams out here. They go, yep, that's not working, and now they're by the bridge and going back again. That was one hell of a rotation, Liquid. Lose 1, up, over, back. And lose 3 players trying to do that. That's unfortunate. You wouldn't want to have to commit to this, but I think they got shot at by probably the entire circle, or like the entire set of teams on that rotation, and at least for something, EB does get to stay alive. I don't know how long he stays alive, but at least he's alive for now. They trade. Still off with Freaker Freaks on the south side trying to play control. Oath has still got control of the observatory. They're sitting tight. Ends again clapping their hands because they got themselves the compound, and everyone else has to fight their way down the hill. Freaker Freaks full on commit to EB. Should be able to find him. As I say that, no, he gets 2. Ooh, good job, EB. Again, I didn't get to see this game, so I'm as surprised as you guys. This is just all me speculating on what I believe teams would do or should do. And then we'll see if they do it. SDK, no, they have to leave. They cross over, take the fight to Zenith. Makes perfect sense. Virtus Pro still playing their little corner of the circle up here. Divine being held by Navi. I like how Kemba is playing control down here. He's not going aggressive on Virtus Pro. He's just playing control and saying, you know what? As long as I can back off, and as long as I know I can keep these guys at a distance, you guys will be fine. Let's see if they are though. Oof! Now Senya falls in. Nope, they were not fine. But Kemba did his job. You gotta do these reviews day after they happen. Normally I would. I normally do them. I don't do. I normally do make these reviews. Actually, sometimes on the same day after they happen. But sometimes I'm casting the games also, and then it's a little to have to go straight from casting the games to analyzing them. And in this case, I had some internet issues when I wanted to do the analysis stream, and therefore I had to postpone it. But usually I do, Eagle. You can go over to YouTube, all of you actually, if you want to. You can watch all my analysis streams there. The week 1, or the week 3, day 1 analysis is also coming up there. I haven't had a chance to upload it yet. It will be uploaded with this as well. But there is over, I think, 1,800 hours of analysis content there. And now Laura is coming in with the raid as well. Thank you so much, Laura, and welcome. Welcome, everyone, to my analysis stream. For all you guys tuning in just now. Very, very much appreciated. First Paper Thin with the raid, and then Laura comes in as well. Much appreciated, both of you. To all the viewers of both Paper Thin's scrims and Laura's stream, I assume you've been playing some ranked games, maybe, Laura? Clicking some hits, getting some kills, ranking up, and all that stuff. For those of you guys who are more interested in competitive PUBG and want to learn more about team tendencies and stuff, stick around. Drop a follow if you want to. And also, for those of you guys who are watching my channel, drop follows on both Paper Thin's channel and Laura's channel, of course. Paper Thin does a lot of casting and does a lot of scrim hosting on his channel, so you'll get to see a lot of players play there. And Laura does a lot of ranked games and maybe some solo games, and just really, really, really fun to sit and watch. So make sure to drop them some follows as well. Thank you, though. Much appreciated. Let's continue now. Multi-Circle Gaming, they've had this compound for a good while. They're sitting tight, at least for now. Oath, they come full speed forward. At some point, they have to go down the hill. Now they do, and it was too late for them. There's, those of you guys who don't know, this hill right here is absolute garbage. It's just a big slant. It really is. I have been kind of considering. Okay, so while the dream is that we can go in-game, right? That we, just like we can do with Counter-Strike, you can go into the match, like a replay, and watch these games happen in-game. That would be the dream, to do analysis and stuff. But I've been thinking, since we don't have that, an alternative could be to have this here, alongside with, if I had like an in-game view, just of like random in-game, didn't matter, just so we could see the terrain. Would that be useful for you guys? Or should we just keep it to this? Because then I could just go in a match, like into the replay, and then we could fly around here and I could show the terrain instead of trying to describe it to you. I think for the most part it wouldn't be necessary. It's maybe it's overcomplicating things, but maybe some people would enjoy it. You can let me know. You can let me know what you would want. Either way, Oath, there's nowhere they can stop between here and there. They have the full speed send it down the hill. They end up going down. Nice with terrain areas. I'll consider it. Yeah, exactly, and dips and stuff. I'll consider it for next time. Then I can showcase people or show to people exactly what positions it is that we're talking about. In the meantime, up towards the north, there is, again, for those of you guys who don't know, a bit of a roll here. You can kind of draw it off like that, where you can stay on the backside of this without being visible to the compound. So they're all fighting down here. There's only really space for one team up here, so this fight must come to an end. STK tries to push over, gets the third party in one. Now I have to take the fight to Virtus Pro. That doesn't work out for them. They go down, VP survives, and ends have to leave. They still have EB inside the circle. Pretty impressive how he's been able to stay alive for so long. 5 teams left alive, EB. Good job. Even though the rotation was pretty terrifying, it's pretty impressive that he managed to make so much of it. Tries to stay put. All of Ends comes over. They get the kill on him. Down he goes. Ends once again in a late game situation. Multi-Circle Gaming, they've been maintaining this split for a very long time. I'm surprised they've been able to do that. But then again, when you look at it, right, they have been very isolated here. From this compound, you cannot really see over these hills. From over here, you cannot really see towards the south. So you can only really see what happens in between you. Like, these compounds are limited to, I want to say, maybe... you maybe get this in as well. Probably limited to something like this vision. So it's very, very limited what they can do from the position that they're in. As you see, Oath come trying to crash in. They get the kill on them. Actually, EB gets one of them, and I believe Ents got the other. And now, finally, people come close to them, and they have a chance to start fighting. So they're 4 up. They probably haven't been shot at a whole lot during this game. Now we'll see if they can hold off against Ents, Virtus Pro, and TSG. Get one knocked. They get the res up. Then they take out Ents. Not sure exactly what happened there. One went down, tried to make the crossover, goes down. I believe Summer might have gone out to throw a nade. In the meantime, Virtus Pro, while they hear all the commotion down here, they wrap back down towards the compound. And now, Virtus Pro in a perfect position. We're still waiting for the final circle to pop. And all that Virtus Pro is hoping for is that TSG will take the fight. Like, that TSG and Multi-Circle Gaming will fight each other. And that hopefully some knocks will come in on Multi-Circle Gaming so that Oath can try and make a play. One from them from Volibear, that's what I was trying to say, falls down. Blue tries to cross, not gonna happen. Dot is across the street. Play for second place. Guaranteed second place. Hiruzen dies. I believe probably to Blue, I would assume. So he's going to go down. Multi-Circle Gaming wins the game. Again, pretty straightforward game for them. They were in this compound for 26 minutes. So it's pretty straightforward. Pretty straightforward win for them. But again, as I said before, just because you said get circles don't mean you get wins. And they managed to bring home the win. So good job on their part, either way. Let's hop over to game number 9 of day number 2. This plane path a little further south than what we've seen before, so pretty funny. We do still have a few teams that like to go up here, but when you look at it, it's actually all of it is, what do you call it? All of what we have up here are secondary loot spots, because this is where SDK would normally go, but because 4AM ain't here, they're going to go down here. Virtus Pro would go up here, or else they'll go up towards Saki. Zenith would go out here, but they have other loot spots down towards the south as well. Navi can go here, but they have other loot spots as well. So overall, it's no one's really punished for not having access towards the northeast. Virtus Pro wanted to jump early, take Saki. They don't get it because Ents are already up here. Down towards the south, we have TSG and Freak of Freaks, who would have thought. Again, close to one another, but they should be able to spread out and loot. Novo is looted by Face Clan. And everything else is pretty ordinary. Multi-Circle Gaming opted to jump down towards the southwest. Couldn't really find anywhere else to go. DA and 4AM would go to the J compound. Yep, that's true. That's DA and 4AM. But they're not in the game, so that doesn't matter. Navi get themselves Prim. And overall, pretty straightforward. Surprised to see T1 get this much control when you have 3 other teams down here. Also a little surprised to see Zenith not up to go towards Novo on this plane path. Or maybe they wanted to fight for the southwest instead. Let's see now. Genji, again, maintaining their infantry-isk split. Since infantry ain't here, they're going to try and take full control. It's going to be pretty fun to see. It's going to be pretty fun to see how, once we get to the next weekly finals, some of these teams, for example, Virtus Pro now, if we talked to Batulans, right, and I asked him if DA make it to the finals, because right now Virtus Pro are just looting DA's loot spots. If DA make it to the finals and Multi-Circle Gaming are still trying to claim control of your power grid split, are you gonna try and fight them? And he said, yeah, we'll have to fight them because there's nowhere else we can go. Any rules for not wearing weapon skins? Not as far as I know. Erangel, I know that for 1 second. I know that for PGC, the Global Championship of 2019, there was a rule that they all had to wear the PGC skins. But I'm actually not sure, because I've seen some with skins on some guns and some that didn't have them on. So I guess that alone should mean that there are no rules for it. There are no gloves on esports server. Wah, wah. Yeah, so I would assume that that's the case. I know that for previous tournaments there has been rules that they all had to wear specific outfits, but I don't think that's the case for this one, since I've seen people wear different things. Let's see, Liquid. They leave Pochinki early. They go down towards the south. Okay. Huh. Liquid playing the... That's not something I've seen before. They go up to Pochinki Hill. They scout their way forward. They drive down. They realize that there's a team sitting inside the compound. And they continue south around. Okay. Okay. They go down towards the south. Not too often we've seen Liquid play the forest earlier in the game, but they're down there now. In the meantime, Zenith and Na'Vi fighting over the compound. What do you guys call this compound? I want to hear. Because it's funny. Everyone has always called this compound over here Snake. Like, everyone calls this compound Snake. But I've always... Yellow mark. I've always called this compound Snake. Because it looks like an S, you know? Before this became the, I guess you can say, official call out for this compound, Snake compound, I used to call this zigzag. You know how like zigzags, because it kind of goes through like that. The compound that is before Crory. That's just not a very quick call out. Na'Vi compound, Shadow compound. Okay, so they're different names. S compound. I've heard S compound for this one. S here and then Snake here. But yeah, just asking chat what your thoughts on it. Yellow marker. I think that's the best. I think that's the best call out. Sometimes it's blue marker as well, or green marker, or orange marker. But I like that call out. That's very specific to an area of the map. This, or this, or this. 1, 2, or 3. 1, it's a cat. It is Cat Hill. 100%. Meow, meow. Here is the ear. There is the mouth. Eyes. It has the small whiskers. Wait. Has a cute little fluffy tail. Meow, meow. There's your cat. Wait, you thought this was the tail? Huh. Okay, so let's say that this is the tail. How is that a head, though? How is this a head? Lower, you're drunk. This is a very scary... This is a very terrifying animal. How are you doing? That's, I don't know. It could be a Persian cat, I guess. I'm more of a dog person. It's a radioactive cat, I think. I think radioactive cat is probably the best explanation for it. Oh yeah, this could just be cat poop. Or just poop. Because the compound is pretty poop, you know? Poop. I mean, we already have Monsters Inc. compound. I call this one Cat Hill. I think that makes sense. Or maybe, maybe this is a beaver. And this is like the beaver tail, you know? Ah, we're getting out of hand. It's getting too weird now. Toby is no Bob Ross. I'm limited with just 5 colors. If you gave me a palette and a pencil, I would be the Bob Ross. I just gotta grow my fro a little, you know? The forest northeast of Cat Hill. Up here? Like this whole area. I used to call it G2 forest. Or just G2. Or just the forest south of Chopsticks. I used to call it G2 because G2 would always, like on their rotations out, they would always sit down here and look around. But usually it's just, you know, the forest, yellow marker forest, blue marker forest, green marker forest, orange marker forest, or the forest south of Chopsticks. It depends. Toby Bob emote with the afro and Toby's hair. You can just find a picture of me when I was like 14. I don't know why, but when I was younger, my hair did not grow down the same way that it does now. My hair just grew out and upwards. So I didn't have an afro, like not a proper afro hair, but it was pretty weird looking, not gonna lie. Now that's an idea. Yep. Either way, let's continue. So the people watching on YouTube don't have to sit and fast forward all the time because we never talk about anything relevant. What? Again, I didn't watch these games, so this is a... Oh no. I didn't watch this game. This was a very, very honest reaction. Pansy's witch laugh. Have you heard it when she laughs like that? That's my favorite ones. Normally when she starts sounding like a witch, you know something is really fun. It sometimes happens. It's rare, but it's pretty fun when it does. Okay, so I guess we go military now. Hashtag. Faith circle. Or oath circle, I guess. Hashtag gifted. I don't think there's anything gifted about it. This is gonna be a fucking cluster of a game. Okay, there's 2 teams here and 14. Wait, make that 13 teams on the other side because we've already eliminated Navi. So let's see how this one unfolds. STK goes, okay, let's just go full speed forward. They even set up for it too. I think they probably set up to try and camp teams coming this way, but now I guess it works the other way too. So they go full speed across. James sees them leave. He's gonna try and go down and do something. Now they cross over once they see them leave. Purdy tries to go up and do some damage. Not gonna happen. And Freak of Freaks, they cross on over. TSG comes afterwards. 3 boats come sailing across. 3 boats at the exact same time take off. We're gonna make a race of it. But they trade up to go back after Genji gets across first. They could just have beached down here or something instead. I guess they didn't want to do that. Jianba manages to make their way across as well. Now, why is the Freak of Freaks bridge camping in the blue? They just really don't like TSG, do they? They stop to bridge camp TSG. Then T1 comes over. They are forced to take the fight with TSG. And then they go, okay, that was fun. Let's leave now. This is stupid. And then they leave. Thank you for leaving, a Freak of Freaks. That would have been stupid if you stayed. Oh my god, these circles just keep getting dumber and dumber. Could you imagine? Wait, can we technically? Oh, that's phase 4. Never mind. Can we technically have... This could have happened. Where's the dot on this? This circle could have happened. That would have been hilarious. Could you imagine? Could you imagine if the circle went back up there? Now that would have been great. And then all the teams that went across are like, no! That would have been absolutely hilarious. Either way, the circle goes south. Not that this circle is a whole lot better, because yes, it's still down towards the south side, but it's still... Then the next one goes back again. It's like one of those old, you know, the old saws. The old lumber mill saws where it's like two people holding like that. That would have been the circle. Just a rope pulling contest between the two islands. My circle, no, my circle. Base on the south side, they managed to find their way into the circle. The Freak of Freaks try and continue wrapping around. We know the next circle is going to exclude water, so we know for a fact everyone has to make it across. Virtus Pro, Spiro, how long have you been swimming for? He just takes a trip along the coastline. He's down below now. In the meantime, Multi-Circle Gaming gets up here. Ends are stuck on the bridge because Divine opted to bridge camp. Oh no, they went around the bridge and under. Okay. So Ends are stuck on the bridge. Circle goes down towards the south. Day Trade still didn't cross over for reasons unknown to me. I guess it's probably got to do with PO looking for them. Liquid are down here. Divine comes full speed forward. And Liquid just completely plummet them. Great play by Liquid to hold off against them. They hold off, don't lose a single player. Here comes Ends, forced to play on the shorelines for a little while. SDK push underneath the bridge, trying to take control. Day Trade swim across. They finally get here. Gen G now over here as well, trying to make the push out. This is a smart play from Gen G, trying to clear their edge. They leave the compound. They know they have two guys sitting above and holding and making sure they have control. They go to the boat. They cross on over. And now Gen G tries to wrap. Do they wrap up above? Yeah, they do. They wrap up above, down on the side to try and take out Day Trade, but without over-aggressing. So they find 2 kills. They wrap back. Esther falls down. Does he get rest? Yes, he does. Gets healed on up. Gets inside the circle. Smart playing by Gen G. Really smart, actually. In the meantime, Oath, they've been chilling for a while. T1 doing the same thing. In the compound, they did lose 1 as they tried to crash on in. Lose 1 to Face Clan. And now we're forcing everybody out into the open. They messed up that game. I don't know how they messed that game up. I mean, you sit up here in a pretty decent position. Then the circle goes military. You go, holy fuck, we're doomed. They try to go east. They think, okay, so we should be one of the... With this circle, we should only have maybe 1 or 2 teams over here beating us to the east. They start driving. They go side by side with TSG. They chase one down, get the kill. By chasing that kill, I guess they shouldn't maybe have chased the kill, because by going up and chasing the kill, they allow for T1 to go through. And then they go the other way when they see the entire team come driving past. They go back up this direction. They say, great, let's wait. Here, there was a chance they could swim across. But the thing is, when we get to phase 3 and phase 4 and all this, there's so little time between the circles that if you start swimming across here now, if you start swimming over like this, you won't be across by the time the new circle pops, and then you don't have a vehicle to get into the circle. You're just screwed anyway. So they have to try and play it back the other way. The thing is, there's so many opponents here still. So they take the cars, they try and drive back down towards 12 stack and see if they can get across. I mean, other than not chasing the solo player from TSG, I don't know exactly what they could have done too differently. Either way, we come down here. New circle's gonna pop. Gen G gets themselves some space, and now we pretty much force out all the compounds except for Liquid. There's only gonna be space for 1 team up here, as long as the hill is in anyway. There's gonna be space maybe for a team to try and push up from below, but the team on the hill will see them. There is gonna be space for 1 team around the shack, but that's really it. So we have 9 teams alive, and coming into the next circle, they got unlucky on the circle, sure, and they could have done things differently, but I think it's, I mean, this was just a really tough game for them. Practically impossible to rotate into. Base get a knock, they wrap on up, try and take control. Now they have control of the hillside. Surprised why T1 don't do more to take the fight to... Why does T1 allow for them to do that? They get the knock. They push up as 4. They come back down. Now they have the circle, and T1 has to make them move out. And now T1 are wrapping in with the circle on their back, and they all go down. Once they get that knock and they see them leave, why don't they just go up here? Well, just because it's easier said than done. But why don't T1 try and back out from Oath? Because T1 knows they're never going to be playing across here anyway with Oath on this side already. And if they know that Oath is already now backing off to try and take the fight up here, they should be starting to run up to take the fight to face. Damn. That's the second time. They even push 2 out. But they back off again. That's confusing to me. And now 8C, smart play, pushes across, takes full control, and T1 can't get into the circle. Smart playing by FaZe, way too scared playing from T1, in my opinion anyway. And FaZe now gets to 4th party, I guess, depending on how Liquid fares in this one, up the hill. So the Liquid commits, pushes up the hill. In the meantime, Gen G takes full control. FaZe, they're playing contain on one side. Liquid are pushing in on the other. They're just squishing Multi-Circle Gaming and Oath together and killing all of them. Liquid pulls into the circle. They ain't getting nowhere. Tianba pushes out but backs off again. We can't really see off of this if it's because FaZe are just doing an incredibly good job at applying suppressive fire. You can see Gustav and Fuss, they are standing on the south side looking for Lin Shun and Mings. But there's many chances why yeah, exactly. So they're just hitting their shots and teams I can't do a whole lot against them. Instantly, double knock comes in, James goes down as well. FaZe, they're just feeling it this game. It is Sunday, I guess. Here, they lose 1. They get Upa up. 8C goes down. 1 more down. This is pretty interesting. So Esther is the one sweeping on the bottom side. Fuss is kind of sort of doing the same thing. He's holding. Esther is coming up. Fuss wins the 1v1 against him. I guess maybe he didn't see him. I don't know. 8C gets Upa up. Goes down in return. Gustav gets 1 with a nade, I think. Upa finds 1 and FaZe wins the game. Good game. Good game for FaZe Clan. They were absurdly lucky, not gonna lie, to get that military circle. But then again, I mean, when it's this early in the game, literally everything can happen. When I wrote FaZe circle, it was really just for fun. The way that they push out was extremely well played by them. I am incredibly surprised that T1 didn't do more to control at all. They had a chance to go out and not allow for FaZe Clan to get into that position, and they didn't do anything. Similar to the game that FaZe had up here on day 1, where a Freak of Freaks had a chance to go out and take control, and FaZe were allowed to just push out and do what they wanted. This was surprising as well, that when they pushed down this way, T1 didn't do anything to take control. But then again, it's always easy with hindsight knowledge and us being able to see everything in the situation, in the game. I'm sure a lot of stuff went through T1's minds. It was just one of those chances where they could have capitalized and maybe kicked out a team, but they didn't manage to do that. That was game number 9. Let's hop on over to the final game of the day 3 finals. Let's see. Plane. Pretty straightforward. Everyone can really go where they want to. Unless if you're dedicated Lipovka looting team, of course. But I don't think anyone is. Gen G. Wait. Oh, I thought we saw Nux up here again. I was like, please don't do that twice. Doesn't happen this time. That was the other day. Yeah, everything is pretty straightforward. Navi loots the north side in a 4-way split. Tiamba gets all of South George. Everything is pretty straightforward. Not sure why Zenith are all over the place today. In 3 games in Erangel, Zenith has looted Quarry, Novo, and here. They are all over the place. That's kind of interesting. Zenith wanted to go back out to the east, I assume, but then they run into Multi-Circle Gaming. Just odd, I guess. T1 will go for their wide loot splits. Nothing too unusual about that. Day trade, take full control on the south side. Oath should have a free pass to crossing on over. Why Navi play bad? Is more teams on the edge? Yes. The short answer, in my opinion anyway, is that there are way more teams on the edge than there usually are. And the long answer, I don't necessarily have one. I mean, Navi, when we see them fight, some of the times they're just not hitting their shots. But then again, then we go over to other games. The one that they qualified with when they beat, was it Sonics and 4 a.m. on Miramar? They just hit everything. So it's just on and off. I mean, that alongside with the opponents being incredibly good. Yeah, exactly. When they're hitting their shots, they're scary. It's just they find themselves with some tough shifts sometimes. And keep in mind, guys, this type tournament format, and this is not to bash on the tournament in any way, shape, or form, but this tournament format is incredibly different to what we've seen before. And this is something I talked about in the very, very, very beginning, even before the tournament first started. I went out and I said, this tournament is really going to favor the teams that adapt quickly, because we have so many point resets. We never have anything bigger than a best of 10. Normally, when we have grand finals in tournaments, the grand finals are best of 10, or best of 15, best of 18, best of 20, best of 25. These are all best of 10s, and with constantly changing lobbies coming into the finals, right? So if you're a team similar to what we've seen before from FaZe Clan that tends to have their good Sundays because the last day of the tournament is the day where they have gotten to know the other teams the best. You don't have the chance to really be that team in this tournament because it's constantly changing. Teams are forced to do different things with every single game because, as you're saying, it's almost 6 grand finals in one tournament. You could say that. Every weekly final is as it says, final, and then it resets. The prize pool obviously don't reset, but everything else resets. And Navi is just a team. I mean, it's not too often that we see Navi go out on day one and just dominate people. It's not too often we see it from TSM. It's not too often we see it from FaZe Clan. And that's why, up until this point, I mean, FaZe Clan didn't have the best tournament. They missed out on last week's weekly finals. Yes, okay, they come out and they win this one. That's impressive, of course. But they didn't come off very strong. TSM has missed out on finals. Navi has had some tough times. And these are some of the teams that, which tend to play better over time. But they're not given the overtime opportunity because they have to go out and have every game be a good game in order to be on top. So that's why, part of the reason why, anyway, in my opinion, that some of those teams are struggling. Of course, with the exception of FaZe Clan that they just won this week. But it's fun to see how we have different winners every time and how we have a team that goes from like FaZe, they cannot win a single game in 16 games, and then they go out and win weekly finals. And you have other teams like Damwon Kia, who have an insane first week, and then they can't even qualify for the weekly finals. It's just, it's very tricky. It's very hit or miss with a lot of this when there are so few games to be played. Normally, we talk about the teams that are more consistent over time will be the teams that are rewarded. But because the points are reset constantly in this tournament format, it's just incredibly difficult. What about Sonics? They're underestimate opponents. I haven't talked to them. I don't think they're a team that would go out and underestimate their opponents. I think they have a play style and they like to play it, and they're having a hard time finding the success they've had before. I mean, they're going up against teams now that are probably way better fraggers than what they're used to going up against. So when they play a frag-heavy play style and they now go up against teams that are better at hitting than some of the opponents they've been playing in the past, they lose more of those fights. Not taking anything away from them. They're a really, really talented team. But maybe that's part of it. Do you think STK will perform the same way after they benched on Civil? Who's to say? We'll have to wait and see. It's going to be interesting, for sure, to see how things are going to how things are gonna pan out. When they start the tournament, they look scary. Yep, exactly. It's very, very hit or miss. Yes, that did happen. Let's see now. How are things looking? So circle goes down towards the south to some extent. A lot of teams are coming in from the west side, obviously, with the plane being on the west, and teams have we've had so many of these circles out here that I don't necessarily fault teams for going in this direction. Also, there isn't all that much you can play out around these fields. But circle comes back towards the east side. Face coming in super late. They get a circle in their direction. But again, look at this. Where do you go from here, right? You can go up on the hill, scout forward. You can go down towards the south, scout inward. Maybe it's just sit in a compound. You can do that too if you want to do that. You can take the hill down south. But there are more teams, like many more teams coming in from the west. The only team in the entire circle, the only team that is coming in from the east is Face Clan. Everybody else have to fight their way through the west. We'll see how that plays into effect. They spread out. High ground control, scout your way forward. You know you have to cross this field at some point. 8C, again, high ground control, scout your way forward. Just schematically very well played. They sit back, ghost stuff goes up, scouts here. Uber takes it, scouts here. Like, scout, take, scout, take, scout, oops, scout, take, and let's see where they scout from there. 8C goes up, scouts down for ghost stuff goes down, scouts forward for Fuzz. Fuzz goes forward, scouts forward, and then they take the compound. Very straightforward, simple rotations, but that's just how you want to do it. Rotate, stop, scout. Rotate, stop, scout. Rotate, stop, scout. And that way you can sneak your way into the circle. The thing is, Face don't have any clue. There's no way of them knowing that there would be no one down here, right? So they have to play it smart. In the meantime, up towards the north, GSG are sitting in a pretty decent split. Oath are down towards the south side forest, the G2 forest, the yellow marker forest, whatever you want to call it. A Freak of Freaks have to up their split as well. Face now seeing this circle, they try to wrap over the top. And again, look at this circle. There's so much in this that you really cannot use for shit. At least for right now. We have the compound here. Of course, you can play inside there. You can play inside there. You can play inside there. But there's just so much of this area, this down here as well, that you really cannot use for anything. That you really cannot use for anything. Such a big portion of this circle that you cannot maintain control of because all these compounds are still in the circle. So everyone is trying or forced to play down around either chopsticks or try to play the south side forest. I would assume to see Navi try and take control of the south as well. No more top 4s for SDK. That's a bold statement. We'll see if that turns out to be true or not. Tianba and Day Trade taking a fight. Face still trying to find their approach. Again, not being overzealous, not rushing anything. Trying to find out what direction they want to go to. Now they go up. They scout it forward. Again, rotate, stop, scout. Rotate, stop, scout. Go stop, stops, looks down. They only see one player here. They call the bluff. They see Ensar in a wide split. And they say, well, you cannot maintain this split any longer. Back off. And now they get a compound. While other teams were not daring to scout. A Freak of Freaks, full speed forward into chopsticks. Gen G playing on the south side, rotating full speed forward as well. Not Gen G, sorry. What am I saying? They trade full speed forward into the compound and fighting. Base, they stop, they scout. They see there's a solo, they pull up on him, and they force him to leave. And they get themselves a spot in the circle. Smart rotations for Face Clan. VP now in a similar position where Face Clan were before. Sit up here, scout your way forward, see what you can get. The only issue is by the time we've now hit phase 4, you're limited, very limited in what you can what you can get control of. It's it's one of those situations where if you had before a two-way split, that two-way split is now not a split anymore. With wherever you go, the TSG split before is no longer a TSG split, right? So the later you get in the game, the more being on the edge and having to fight your way in becomes not impossible, but difficult, to say the least. Gatka has to leave. They know that. VP has to leave as well. Find a spot to go. They go to the tractor. on the top side of chopsticks. And they try to maintain some sort of control up there. Liquid, in the meantime, coming from the south, they take control. And now Gen G. Same position that VP were in. Same position that FaZe were in. We're sitting on the top. We have the high ground position. We're scouting our way forward. What is available? Where can we go? Is there even a place that we can go inside this next circle where we don't have to fight to stay alive? They go over. They see Oath shooting. Maybe FaZe shoot at them as well. They go, great, that's not going to happen. And then they full speed send it into the gutter. And they try to stay put from there. FaZe, in the meantime, spread out. They take control. They know they're on the edge of the circle. New circle, senders up. And again, this is an absolutely garbage area. I hope that if we ever see more Erangel changes, that this will be done something with. Just add a little hill in the middle or something. Pancake areas, to me, are annoying. You don't have areas where it's just completely flat. Add a little bit of a hill, a little bit of something. This is just very, very, very flat. And difficult to play around. Everyone else trying to full speed send it into the bowl. That's really the only place they can go. I mean, ends they're sitting up here. They can't cross over like this because then they'll be shot at by FaZe. All of the FaZe players. And once they get down into the dip, they'd be shot at by Gen G, right? If they wrap around, they still have the wall here they can run on. But once they get up here, they're going to be shot at by FaZe and by the teams down below. Then they hear that T1 and TSG are fighting. And they go, great, this is our chance. This is our chance to get kills. Let's just full speed send it across now. They do that, they pull up on them, they try to make the ray on it, they do manage to get the kills, and they get themselves a spot to play in the circle. Not much, but it's inside the circle, and they get to stay alive. So now we have 3 teams inside the bowl, inside a bowl, inside chopsticks. And 1 team that is not in there is FaZe. So it's essentially like 2017 teams in the water. Not exactly the same thing. But FaZe have a position now from where they can sit up here and they can shoot every time they peek over the top. Every time a player peeks up, they shoot them, they force them back down. That's why they play above. That's why they didn't crash down below. They know the other teams are forced to play down here because this whole terrain is so flat. I mean, obviously not down in the chopsticks, but because everything here is so flat, they say if we can take control of the high ground, which in this case is just flat top, then they cannot get out of there. Circle shifts back towards FaZe. Had this circle gone towards the west, FaZe probably wouldn't have been able to win it, but still they find themselves in a really good position right now where they can play from. Now we know FaZe will ends will have to leave. Either they run all the way down, all the way up, or they try and cross over somehow with 19 billion smokes. They still have vehicles, and now they make the run forward. 1 hay bale at a time. SDK, they leave in below, trying to make the run forward. Uncivil is down here, trying to maintain some sort of control. Gen G are holding off great against them. Here comes Ends pushing forward towards Gen G. And in the meantime, instead of trying to push forward, there's a knock, we could have gotten more kills. We could have pushed down and peeked into this and gotten kills. FaZe goes, you know what? We don't need 12 kills and maybe a win. Let's just settle with 6 kills and not a guaranteed, but a win, you know? It's, I don't even know the kill count they have in this game, but just the mentality of we don't need to over-aggress. We'll wait for a guaranteed third-party opportunity. We know they have to leave there at some point because the last circle is going to be out here. Let's just wait for them to leave, and then we'll be fine. 3 teams forced to fight. Look at this. They just pearls on a string. Full control of the circle. They're just waiting for all that stuff down there to be over because they know that peeking into it is not suicidal, but it's going to be dangerous, right? They just waited out. Why did Fuzzface go down to blue? Why did he even push into blue to begin with? That's odd. But I guess it buys time for the rest to come up. But that does not make any sense to me. Why would he go down there? I would have to watch back and watch. Go back and watch the game. But FaZe, hold off. They get the win, and yeah, good game for them. Did they get back-to-back wins in the final 2 games? I believe they did, right? Yeah, they do. They hold up against them there. Yeah. So back-to-back wins for FaZe. That's a good one for them. Hit him with a molly. Exactly. So first sacrifice himself to try and contain the guys on the other side. Let me just see here. Weekly finals. So FaZe end up in top. They get what? 10, 20, 39 points. And look at the placements, right? 3 wins, 2 second places. Speaking of consistency, 3 wins and 2 second places. 5 of their 10 games were in second place or better. You can say 6 of their 10 games, over half their games were within top 4. That is insane. That is absolutely insane. They get over 1/3 of their final points in the last 2 games. And that's why I'm saying, when people come to me and go, oh, Toby, who's going to win this week? And, oh, Toby, what's going to happen here and there and here and there? It's impossible to say. Because it's only, had it been 15 or 20 rounds per weekly final, we could start discussing consistency and stuff. But look at all this. It's just impossible to read it. There's 3rd places and 4th places. There's no the same teams do things. Even though TSG have had a crappy week, if you go back 1 week previous, they had a good week, right? Or the week before that. I don't know. Maybe it's not TSG I'm thinking about. It's not TSG. But either way, we go back 2 weeks. That's actually what I was thinking about. To week 2. And here they go. They start off the tournament with 19 kills in 2 games and a 3rd and a 2nd place. If they can do that, to then follow it with almost not having a single placement point in 10 games, FaZe Clan, they come into weekly finals. They get themselves a really good 2 days. They didn't even make it into week 2 finals. It's so, in my book, impossible. 4 a.m. I mean, yes, and I know they lost God V. I mean, not lost him, but he's been out for the last portion of it. But 4 a.m. winning week 2, 3rd place week 1, didn't even make finals in week 3. The amount of games playing, and because the level of play within the tournament is so incredibly high across the board, it just makes it practically impossible to predict. It is, I want to say, it's all of these teams could have won this week. I'm looking at Divine and thinking maybe not all, but even Divine has had some sick games. I mean, so it's just, it's impossible to predict when it's only 10 games, at least in my opinion. Teams can go and say, yeah, but I guessed my pick'em's right 3 times. Good for you. It could easily have gone the other way. It's and I guess it's a good thing in a weird way, because all the teams are just incredibly good. There's up. Oh, for 4 a.m. Yeah, he did not have the best time. I mean, speaking of big shoes to fill, I'd be fucking scared if I was him. But then again, I mean, I have seen tournaments with 4 a.m. where they played primarily with a sub team in the tournaments in the past, where he actually did pretty well. The swing placement of the game. I don't know if I necessarily completely agree. Either way, if you're watching on YouTube, thanks all for tuning in, and I will see you all next time.